For today we'll have lip.
So, we all know that breathing is involuntary and also voluntary. There is a two phase, in and out. And a non-doing in the in-breath is passive and doing is the active. So I suggest we allow the in-breath, then a short pause, then the long, slow out-breath, and then a gentle, long pause. And in that pause, send into your abdomen and notice and be touched by the impulse at top to breathe in. So that's the touch meditation. So now after all that, let's start our attunement, either with your eyes closed or gently open. And just sense into your feet. Notice how your feet are touching the ground. Maybe wiggle your toes. And then sense into your pelvic area, including your two hips. And allow the connection down to your thighs, your knees and lower leg, your heels, ankle, and feet. And then gently press your feet into the floor, and you may sense the whole connection of pelvis to feet as a solid foundation for your torso. And then give some attention to your breathing that happens all by itself. And just allow next in-breath, and then allow a short pause and a long, slow out-breath. And a slightly longer pause, and sense that tugging in your abdominal area that pulls your next in-breath. So I'd like you now to spend a few moments being touched by your breathing that happens all by itself. So gift of life, breathing, being touched by the vitality of being alive, here and now. And then sensing your whole torso, front and back, sides and center. And sensing the space in yourself. And connecting to the space around you, in your room and beyond. And connecting to all the people here, including yourself. As Tenzin said, you are here, you belong here. We all belong to this space, right now, here. So, coming to the end of our attunement, I start with first thing here is touch technology. Touching at the edge. So, the questions around touch, many of us have kind of fluctuating connection to touch and different relationship to touch. And humans create things, and sometimes our creation affects us. Our technology, our organization, And with Zoom, sometimes we get used to being convenient that we may not make the effort to be in touch. And touch is one good reason to be in touch, physical, in-person gathering. And AI would never be able to do the human touch that we need. So I will now invite Katerina to read the first poem.
Yes, we have 2 poems for today. One now and one a little bit later. And we have some pictures as well and some videos. Lingering in happiness. After the rain, after any days without rain, it stays cool, private and cleansed under the trees. And the dampness there, married now to gravity. The dampness falls branch to branch, leaf to leaf, down to the ground, where it will disappear, but not, of course, vanish, except to our eyes. The roots of the oaks will have their share, and the white threads of the grasses, and the cushion of moss, a few drops, round as pearls, will enter the mole's tunnel. And soon so many small stones, buried for 1,000 years, will feel themselves being touched. That was Lingering in Happiness by Mary Oliver.
Thank you, Katerina. So the reason why I use this poem is the last word. The small stones buried for 1,000 years will feel themselves being
Hello, Lib.
touched.
Hi, Lib. Could I just interrupt, Miss Pauling? If your sound, could you put it up a little bit? It's just that bit low.
We can all put our sounds up too, and keep putting them up because the sound creeps down. Then you ask it to come back by clicking the button on your keyboard or your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Better, yeah, it's better.
Okay, I'll speak louder then. So sometimes we forget about touch, just like we forget sometimes our favorite food or our interests. And so sometimes we forget that touch can nourish us, and touch can connect us and empower us and even heal us. So here I'm using words to describe touch, which is not easy on Zoom. I'm using words, and words are used to describe, to point to, and to create. So we have touch, which is kind of non-physical, it's more intangible, and we also have touch, which is physical. So by non-tangible touch, I mean in our language, we use words like touches my heart, touching at the core, the kindness touches me is touching, I am touched by, and we have the word touchstone and sasi when referring to Bapu Mahatma Gandhi, say she's stuck in her heart. And then we have words like being in touch with, to keep in touch, out of touch with ourselves, and be in touch or lost touch with what's important to us. All this is just to indicate the importance of touch even in our language. So I like to share a couple of touch stories. I have been treating a woman called Janet for a long time, and when her husband died, he asked me to look after her. So a few years after his death, I took Janet to Malta in a wheelchair. And on coming back, the coach took us to the car park, and I was wheeling her in the wheelchair. And you know, in Parkinson's, sometimes they just move about, and she's bent to one side. So I'm trying to keep her in the wheelchair and to stop the wheelchair from toppling over, and was obviously in terms of distress. And then suddenly, I felt a warm touch, a firm touch on my shoulder, and it was the bus driver. So of all my memories of touch, that one stood quite interestingly clear in my memory, being supported and feeling comforted by I am being witnessed. Another touch story is I wore to Black Park, where there was a lake, and I usually see a gentleman, elderly gentleman, with his head bent like this, and he always makes some effort to go around every so often, even though he's bent like this. And in my many years of practice, occasionally I get phone call saying, you may not remember me, but you treated me 10, 15, 20 years ago, and I like the treatment. It's very soothing. I am now dying of cancer. I know you cannot cure the cancer or prevent me from dying, but I would like you to do a home visit because I like to be soothed by your treatment. And it happened more often than one may realize. So I'm very touched by that, and I'm often surprised how they remember me, all the treatment, all my phone number after 10, 15, 20 years. So recently, on Friday, I went to the Royal College of Music in London and witnessed a guitar master class. And it was very touching, if you want to put the picture, Catherine, now, of the elderly master musician coaching the younger student, and the way they look at each other, the way they encourage each other, and the kind of dedication to the music and a human helping another human is very touching. You may want to look up his name is Goran something. So there is the picture. So right now, as I said, humans helping humans, like acts of kindness, I find very, very touching. So now I invite you to somehow to share who or what touches you. What comes to mind or to your memory about being touched in your life, either recently or what's stuck in your memory of you being touched, physically or non-physically, by an event, an experience, just one or two of you sharing.
I was at a jazz concert yesterday, Lip, and there was a wonderful, wonderful group of musicians, and the pianist was playing for the first time the sound of love. He was playing his way to have us hear how he experiences love.
Thank you, Mary. Perhaps one more.
When I'm outside, I go to a flower or a branch with a leaf, and I touch my eye to the flower. And then suddenly, I am more attuned to everything.
So touch connects us. Touch is a felt experience. Touch makes us present in many ways. So the touch puts us in contact, connects. It's a felt thing. And so we have awareness through touch and touch into awareness, just like Feldenkrais, awareness through movement. So there are all the other ways in which we can be touched. Touched by the warmth of sunshine on our face, touch a refreshing coolness of the early morning breeze, touch by the taste of your favorite food, smell of your favorite scent like lavender, the sound of enchanting music, human singing, human crying, touched by looks of human emotions, sadness, joy, and looks an image of art, sculpture, nature, and touch of your skin when you are in a shower, in a hot or cold shower. So we are touched in many ways. So Gendling says we are interaction. In the same way, we are in touch action. So we have physical touch, which can be benevolent or malevolent. And we have ordinary life, we have comforting touch, soothing touch, calming touch, supportive touch, relaxing touch, sensual touch, sexual touch. And also we have ordinary things, and I believe in the extraordinariness of ordinary daily experiences. We can have hug, cuddle, and holding hands. So you may or may not know that when we are hugging or cuddling, it has to be a certain length of time, about a minute or so, before we get the nourishment, before we get in touch and it goes into long-term memory. So that's a kind of savoring. It's a bit like in focusing, you have to wait for the felt sense to form. So pausing, stopping in your hugging and cuddling long enough, and hand holding, I find it very touching. My love story is I met my partner online, and when I first took her from the train station to Black Park and walked out to the car, the first thing I said to her is, "Can I hold your hands?" And she didn't answer. She just put her hand into my hand. And that's the beginning of the relationship. And also, at times when we have conflicts, both of us are quite strong personalities. And at times we have conflicts, especially when I'm driving and she's a passenger. You know, in driving, it's very difficult to judge timing, other drivers and unfamiliar places. So sometimes, even though we don't resolve the conflict verbally, but at night when we are going to sleep or waking up, one of our hands will reach out and touch the other person's hand tentatively. After a short while, one hand will grab the other hand. So touch can repair rupture even without resolving any issues. So that's the power of holding hands. And I always like to see elder couple holding hands. So now I'd like to know if you receive body work at least once a week, can you show your hand electronically or just holding your hand? If you receive one body work session a week, or if you receive at least one body work session per month, or whether you had one body work session since the beginning of this year, or whether you have one body work session at least once over the last year, since April 2025. So I have looked at the whole view, so I don't know how many people put their hands up. Do you have some idea, Katerina?
Oh, I've been watching it. Let's see.
Who has noticed? I just wonder how common is receiving body work, and I stress receiving.
And maybe since the pandemic, there's much less, and people do their own body work.
Yeah. And talking about pandemic, I'm very touched by how our humanity gathered together to go through, to come up with a vaccine, and how all the different gestures of support. And that is very touching, and we can remember that. So now I like to ask, what bodywork therapy have you received that you find really useful, really beneficial? And just put it in the chat, because there are so many bodywork therapies, and I'm always curious is which one is really helpful. And also I want to know whether you do give bodywork therapy and what bodywork therapy you give that you think is effective. So touch, like language, is a human instinct, and human beings are very good at developing our instinct into fantastic skills. That is our hallmark of our humanity, that we develop our instinct, we make things with our skills, and we create. So, all I'm saying is good touch is learnable. There is touch for wellness, restoration, therapeutic, and manipulation and touch. So the certified trainings I go in my touch journey is already in my bio, but briefly, this is what I'm trained in. And in addition to my training, I also have workshop training in this other bodywork therapy, some of which you may have heard, some of which are quite obscure. So this is my workshop experience, and then my direct personal experience of touch is Thai massage, all kinds of touch, from the very heavy, lots of manipulation to very gentle. I'm running out of time, but anyway, these are some of my influences. So now I'd like to welcome Katarina to play the Sting song. You may have heard of the singer Sting, and he surprisingly sing a very early song by the English composer John Dowland, which is called Come Again. And I really like the way he sings the word peace and the word touch. And I'm touched by him putting himself forward to try new things.
And
So, Katarina. Turn that off. Yeah, because they can look up on there. So now I'd like to introduce you to my formulation of Easeful Wellness Touch. Because I'm running out of time, I'm going to say that it's a form of touch that I have developed. But now I'd like you to experiment with self-touch. So you're going to have soft hands and touch your face and the back of your head and just be curious about what you sense. Okay? So I will demonstrate. So you put your hands, let me just see so you that some of the effects of it in your sinuses, and also you may feel your breath higher up the nose. So your hand touching around the nose area, the forehead area, and just soften your hands, and then you make a good contact, and then you move up slightly, and then you open, and you sense whatever happens underneath all the different areas of your hand touching different parts of your face. And then you can move to the sides of your head, firm contact, and shift and open. And then one hand behind your head and one hand behind your neck. And just shift the upper hand up slightly. And then one hand on your chest, one hand on your forehead, and sense any connection. So obviously, you can take longer time in your own practice. So I'm going to skip a lot of the things. The thing about my method of touching is that it benefits both the giver and the receiver. Because when you are giving, I encourage you to really go into a meditative and attentive, almost a flow state, which is one of the nourishing state. Flow state, as written by Csikszentmihalyi, of that book, The Flow Step. And my touch also touched the whole body, the whole line here. So I give a brief outline. The center line, the pelvis, the foundation. So it works on the essential structures of the body. And it is close on, oil-free, which makes it more accessible. The approach is theory-free. I don't have any exotic terms, no esoteric philosophy. It's just essential touch. So the most essential thing I like to know is this touch can be done close on a reclining chair, on a couch, on the floor, on the bed, and in 20 minutes, half an hour, if you learn it together as a pair, then you can exchange. And that is convenient. It's low cost than going to a clinic. And you can do it anytime. And you can do it more regularly. Short session, twice, 4 times a week. And from the regular short session, you get more benefit. So it's a bit like it's empowering us to take touch into our own life regularly. And regular practices can enhance the benefits. So touch can speak a lot. Instead of talking and things, we come to do with our hands. It's a direct physical felt experience. And then it can also be taken out eventually to a community setting. The concept of third places, the village home, because my Easeful touch is close on, oil-free, is more accessible and allowable. So the touch itself has many different touch things, which I cannot describe now. It's different from oil massage, which I also do. And so, because I'm running out of time, so
we
I'm
have quite a
thankful
bit
to
of
my
time.
partner that we exchange oil massage at least 4 times a week, 15, 20 minutes, and it really enhances our sleep. And if you can do anything to enhance your sleep, you're doing very beneficial thing for your well-being, because sleep is core to well-being. So I like now to ask you either in a breakout room or together, consider first question, what have you heard or learned that is interesting, surprising, delightful, fearful, or hopeful about touch? I also like to know whether you have any fresh questions about touch that is arising in you now. So I realize I'm rushing through. So, but if you have any, so we go into breakout room or stick together? Consider anything you have heard that is interesting.
I think we are fine about time. We have 10 minutes to discuss
Yeah.
all together, and then we'll have 20 minutes for breakout rooms. So
Okay.
we don't have to worry about time. You're doing very well.
Okay, thank you for your encouragement. So I like to continue just to remind you that Easeful Wellness Touch can actually make your life healthier, happier, easier, more comfortable. Particularly if you learn a short protocol of 20 minutes and exchange regularly every week. So
maybe
doing
we
physical
can.
touch is a real deal. It's a real McCoy. It's an insight knowledge. It is in touch action. So you don't just want to know about touch, you want to experience touch. So,
Maybe we can open it up for discussion now and
yes.
share how we're touched by what you've told us
Okay.
and what we bring to it.
Yes.
That was
So
beautiful.
I'm rushing a bit, but anyway, I trust that using my words, I weave a tapestry of the extent to which touch are in our life. We are born in touch in our mother's womb, and when we come out through the birth canal, we are in touch. And when we come out in the world, our cry is in touch. So we are whole in touch. And you may have heard of the Romanian orphans about how development is affected by them not being touched. And touch is relevant not just in the early years, but also in our adult years, and especially also in our more mature elderly years. So we do need touch, and I think for many people we may have forgotten about touch. The experience of being touched in a benevolent, uh, humanistic way. So that's what I want us to be reminded. And it is easily learned. It's not a skill that we should outsource to professionals only. Professional therapists have their role to play, but I suggest we can, instead of DIY, do it ourselves. We need to use touch in our relationship among friends, couples, family members, even colleagues. And I like to honor this Helpful Helpers community, that when I come across this community, I'm touched a lot of times by what is happening here. And the fact that Lynn Preston has set this up and it has lasted for 6 years and more is testimony to the power of being touched. That's why perhaps many of you come here to this meeting, because you have been touched in so many ways through attending. So I just want you to be reminded of also the power of physical touch.
Oh, yeah.
So perhaps you can go into breakout room or we stay together. And
I'd like to say something.
yes,
Yes,
please,
let's
Morgan.
hear
I'm
you.
welcoming you.
Thank you. There's been moments where it was more present, but I was touched by you. I don't know by what lip, but touched by what is manifesting or trying to manifest. I don't know. But sincerely and honestly touched. Difficult to put under words. And at some of the time, I was battling not to lose touch with you.
Thanks.
Battling with that also. Yeah.
Thank you for expressing that. I can sense that. And I'm also battling with how to convey touch using words and in Zoom. Whereas in a live in-person workshop, I don't need to speak so much because people will experience the kind of touch I'm wanting to communicate.
Yes, yes. And we have the touch of the chat box. We can go and we'll have that later too. Yes.
I acknowledge
People have
Morgan's
put beautiful
concern.
notes in the chat box. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say that I really got so much out of this talk. It brought up all kinds of memories for me. when I was touching my own face, I was much more aware of the touching than the being touched. And it felt like I would have to focus first on being touched before I could feel the being touched by myself. And then I remembered my father's touch on my face when I was a little girl. And he was a very awkward man with big hands that were rough. And he touched me in this very tender way. And I felt his awkwardness as part of the meaning of the touch, that he
Yes.
very much wanted to touch me and for me to feel touched. And he didn't quite know how. And there was something very touching about that for me. But I guess what I want to say about that is that meaning is so woven into touch. And Lip, when you were describing holding hands and then how long and the delicate signals of the end of a hug, when one person is ready to end the hug, or when one person wants more hug and the other. And of course, we're very rarely wanting exactly the same amount or length um, and the interplay of signaling each other is so subtle.
If I may, I'd like to share one more story about Janet, the Parkinson lady with the wheelchair. I treated her a lot of times, and in the nursing home, we know that she in her dying years, a dying time. So one visit, I was going there, and I noticed her lips moving, so I gave her her favorite drink, which is a passion fruit drink, and then I continued treatment, and then suddenly I thought maybe she's not dying today because she has been drinking from me. But in about 15-20 minutes, as I was holding her forehead and the back of her head, there was a long out breath, and then it stopped. I wasn't expecting her to die that way because she was drinking 20 minutes before. And then her friend who was sitting opposite said, "She's gone, Lip." And then obviously I immediately cried. Uh, yeah. So it was a peaceful death, and I find it very profound because it's her last treatment, and it's the first time ever I've held someone dying and death happens. So it was a moving moment for me.
Thank you for sharing this, Lip. I'm very touched by that. And it's close to my heart at this moment because I was at a celebration of life yesterday for a friend who died, and I have another friend who died unexpectedly from a massive heart attack a month ago. And to hear you speak of holding this woman's hand, taking her last breath, and being with you, and this, I also feel like somebody shared earlier that you touch me very much. There's something about the way you talk or your voice or how you approach word that touches me, and not just today when you speak. So thank you. I'm very touched.
Thank you, Sophie. That means a lot to me, your feedback. Because I have no idea how I am to the outside world. I'm just being myself. One more story about touch. In the Chinese culture, we don't often hug each other. But when I was in England for 8 years doing my first degree and postgraduate and then 2 years working, the first time I returned home, my memory start that I hold my mother in a warm embrace for quite a while. And it's the first time and only time I touch her like that. Because I say it's not normal in Chinese culture to hug. And at times now I'm still awkward about hugging, not as common as Italians hug each other. So I have that memory of my mother enduring my long absence and the first time I hold her in that kind of way.
I think it may be time for our breakout rooms. Is it?
Yes. Okay. Going back.
We'll come back at 9:30.
Yeah. I think everybody's coming back. Yeah.
Yes.
Not the breakout room anymore.
No. We found nobody in our rooms.
I know.
So we came back to main room and then I made into a group.
We could let Lip know that we've been doing the Lao Gong, the little place in the palm of the hand. And Eric knows more. And the healing that comes from far away and close. So, over to you, Lip.
Okay, I'll just finish with if you want to get in touch, this is my new email for the touch, Easeful Touch. It's called easefultouch@gmail.com. And to help you remember my name is live in peace, live in presence, live in possibilities, and love in passion.
Well, put it up again, please, once more.
It's Easeful Touch
Easeful Touch.
at gmail.com.
Live in peace.
Live in peace.
And
Live in presence.
Yeah.
Live in possibilities. And love in passion.
my actual name in Chinese, Lip, means to establish, to set up. So if I could be allowed to introduce a bit of Chinese here, so for fun of it, yeah. This is Lip.
Lip.
Stand up. Stand. And Hana means flower.
On is on, which is ample.
Hua is flower. Hua is flower, right?
Hua
Right.
means good.
And
So only
Means
Hua,
what?
a Chinese name, has a meaning. The king, the
Flower.
sovereign self, establishes goodness.
Uh-huh.
That is
king
Ren, that
establishes
means human
goodness.
being. Notice
I
it's
see.
two-legged,
King,
upright,
king.
one leaning on the other. Our social
Goodness.
creatures.
Okay.
Chinese character Hua Ren means good humans,
Uh-huh.
good people.
Good people. Good
Yeah.
humans.
And the
So,
Chinese civilization is very proud of itself because the Chinese people are called Hua Ren, good people. But I like to
Hua
extend it
Run.
that the Hua, the Ren refers to the whole of our humanity.
Uh-huh.
We are essentially good humans beings, essentially
Uh-huh.
deep down, as in the Rogerian sense, the humanistic tradition, there is
Uh-huh.
fundamental goodness in human
Goodness.
beings.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
we uncover all the unnecessary condition, all the trappings of civilization, in fact, we need to return to our humanness, the essential quality of beautifully, wisely, vitally, easefully human. That's what I find.
Allow me to say something to you.
Yes.
Allow me to say something to you. I think I've got it. I'm not sure. I would like to say that two things. The first thing, we cannot not love you. We cannot not love you. And I think because there is so much goodness in you.
Thank you, Marvin, for saying it. It comes from studying humanity. As I said in the bio, I find the human species so fascinating. When you look at all the history of philosophy, religion, mystic tradition, our human attempts to help ourselves, I mean, it's so touching. The art movement, the psychotherapy movement, we are all humans trying to be more human, and yet at times we get waylaid by our own organizations. We are very good at organizing, but sometimes our organization trap us, just like our creation of technology. Even the art world is corrupted in some sense. Instead of the real art that have this high-flung art that does not mean anything, that is just commercial, fame. So I sometimes ache for it's not that difficult to be humans, really. When you uncover the trappings, that's what we need to do. Return to our basic goodness. It's there. It doesn't need much.
I've been
That's the
enjoying
intervention. That's
I've been
enough
in,
for me.
I've been enjoying your pottery and your artwork in the background also, Lip. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm enjoying the look on Yao's face as you're nodding and delighting in what Lip is saying.
Now, have anyone held a baby in their arms and felt like that baby wasn't good? I haven't. I'd be curious if anyone has encountered that. Even with abused and neglected infants and toddlers, very difficult situation where I haven't.
in biospirituality, they have that image of holding an infant and how that cultivates a sense of affection and warmth. And it seems to work with just about everybody. Yeah.
I'm surprised that nobody mentioned petting a cat. I
That too.
can't
That
imagine life without
that too.
the
That
touch of a
too.
cat. And
When they snuggle up against you, right? Yeah.
yes, yes.
So.
Has anybody ever petted a cat that wanted, that was relating to you, that wanted to be petted and didn't feel that that cat was good?
Yeah.
I sometimes use that as an example of how giving and receiving are the same thing, which is what Lip is talking about. And when you're petting a cat and they're coming into your hand, it's hard to know who's giving and who's receiving.
They start purring also.
Yes, the purring.
When you start yourself purring with the cat, see what happens.
Yes.
My cat comes in the morning and she wants to get outside, but before she does that, she gives me a massage. Yep, exactly on the spot that I feel would be necessary. How she does that, I don't know.
With the paws like this?
Yeah, like a piano player, and she goes exactly on the spot. I think my cat can see my aura. Sometimes she looks above my head and she looks worried.
They're very intuitive. Cats are very
Oh
intuitive.
yeah.
One last sharing. When I attended master class, there was an elderly couple in front of me. Occasionally, the woman will reach out and touch her husband back of head and
Mm-hmm.
run her fingers affectionately down the back of her head and neck. And she did it a lot of times during the master class. It's very charming. I've not seen it before. Affectionately reach out her hand and just, and she's the one who, at the end of the master class, come up and oh, it's so charming, it's so touching.
Yeah, during your presentation, I was feeling that I'm interpreting a little, maybe like you. I mean, like me, I long to be understood, and I get in all kinds of trouble in groups. I talk a lot, I'm impulsive, I say too much, too deep. And I just felt your longing to be understood.
Mm. Yeah. And that's a touch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just about time to have our poem and stop. But I want to remind you that we're doing our art quilt, and all you need to do is make an image that's either 6 by 6 or 8 by 8, a little square, and take a picture of it and send it to me. That's all you have to do. Just take a good picture of your little square and send it to me. And this is our way of touching each other, because then we can buy the paintings of people from all over the world and touch them, because we don't get to touch each other. So we can send these in the mail and then we can touch them. Have a physical touch. You could even write a message on the back if you want to.
Aw.
And I want to also announce that we have our planning meeting at 10 o'clock for those in the planning committee. Anybody else that wants to come is welcome. It's the same channel. And Lip, I want to thank you so much. It's such a wonderful topic. But your presentation just brought us right into it. And then we have a last poem.
So, concluding poem, Briefly It Enters and Briefly Speaks by Jane Kenyon. I am the blossom pressed in a book, found again after 200 years. I am the maker, the lover, and the keeper. When the young girl who starves sits down to a table, she will sit beside me. I am the food on the prisoner's plate. I am water rushing to the wellhead, filling the pitcher until it spills. I am the patient gardener of the dry and weedy garden. I am the stone step, the latch, and the working hinge. I am the heart contracted by joy, the longest hair white before the rest. I am the basket of fruit presented to the window, presented to the widow. I am the musk rose opening, unattended, the fern on the boggy summit. I am the one whose love overcomes you, already with you, when you think to call my name. So that's in the chat as well. And thank you, Lip, for sending us poems, touching. And we will have a part 2 of this in June or July.
I'm particularly touched by the I am the working hinge and the stone step. I'm very touched by that. The working hinge and the stone step. It helps you to
Len, you're muted.
Oh, I said, I was saying bye. See you next week and see the planning committee at 10. And thank you all very much. And particularly thank you, Lip. Bye-bye
thank you
now.
everyone for being here. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Thank you.
Dose mi no fo na de fo. I can't help myself but sing. Dose me do so no de fi mi ne so do ne se do.
Charles and Susan are on either side of you, Lip, on my screen, and Marvin is below you, and everybody is smiling, and Mikhail is above you, and Pauline is below you, surrounded by smiles here.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Remember to
Bye,
smile.
Lip. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Lip.
Bye.